Warning, we are a spoiler-based podcast. At times, we are also an offensive podcast, and we are most certainly a verbally explicit podcast. So if you fear for any of your delicate sensibilities, please back up now before you reach the point of no return. This is your final warning.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Cinematic Anarchy. I'm Chris.
And I'm Zeph.
And we are here, a soldier down today, with just a two-man podcast for today. We're about a couple beers in and several more pieces of pizza than I probably should have eaten. And I don't even believe I called it pizza. I stammered and called it pizza.
Pizza. Pizza.
Yeah. And we are drinking this evening. I think right now I'm currently drinking a beer called Blood of the Unicorn by Pipeworks Brewing Company.
I have over here, it's Night Shift Brewing. It's called Nightlight. It's not bad, actually. I mean, compared to the Unicorn Blood, this definitely has a better taste to it. I'm not an IPA guy, so.
I did not mind the Unicorn Blood at all. It definitely has a bit of a bite to it. Leaves an aftertaste.
But you know, everybody has their taste in beer. I'm a light guy.
I like to experiment. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bought all the beers that I did. You know, different things, craft beers.
Yeah,
we're working.
I was gonna try it out anyways. Either or.
All right. So we've been diving into several different movies, two in particular today. First of which is a movie called 88. Not a terrible movie. It was a little confusing, to be honest. It
Definitely confusing.
It bounced back and forth between, I want to say, I don't know if you call it reality and non-reality. It was sort of a girl that was initially not conscious of what she was doing, kind of came to in the middle of a diner, or came back to her senses in the middle of a diner, and sort of pieced together what happened to her and how she got there.
Due to some post-traumatic stress from an event? I mean, not for nothing. I mean, as for movies, definitely confusing. I had a hard time really understanding what was happening for the first, half hour, 45 minutes of the movie.
It was it was definitely very confusing, and the beer definitely did not help sort that confusion out. It stars a couple of decent actors. We have Catherine Isabelle as Gwen. Christopher Lloyd played Cyrus. A couple of cameos by Alan C. Peterson, Jesse McCartney, and Michael Ironside. All in all, it plays out as sort of a revenge flick. She spends the entire movie thinking that this fella Cyrus had done her wrong. I really couldn't sort out whether or not she was. I mean, he was like a pimp and she was a prostitute, or how that relationship worked. He kept Christopher Lloyd, as his character Cyrus, kept talking about owning her, and nobody was ever going to get between them.
Yeah, I kind of think it was more along the lines of they were just criminals in general. They kind of just dabbled in everything, whether it was murder, drugs, prostitution. That's kind of what I got from the scenes.
Well, from him anyway.
Yeah,
she had more of her character during the entire movie went back and forth from the split personality, the psychotic break, sort of a vengeful, give no fucks kind of killer, to this sweet, innocent, oh my god, what the hell's going on around me kind of girl who just seemed completely bewildered that anything was going on.
Right. I mean, when she comes to in the diner itself, she has a gun in her purse, and she has no idea where the gun came from, and she ends up shooting a waitress, which causes her to be, most wanted at that point in time.
So, yeah, I mean, I recommend the movie, at least for a once through viewing. It wasn't particularly long. I think maybe it came in at about an hour and 30 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, about an hour and 28 minutes. It's definitely worth a good watching through, especially about halfway through the movie, and actually probably most of the way through the movie, there's this one young lady who's just really, really out of her gourd, and reminds me, she has this one scene where she gets shot in the neck.
Yes.
And I remember her hitting the floor and piping out a line that I remember from Monty Python.
That was Lemmy.
It's just a flesh wound.
Yes, it's just a flesh wound. I mean, but she was really out of it. I mean, she had a sign posted up in the background. It was business or, what was it, leisure?
Leisure, I think.
Yeah.
Pleasure or leisure.
Yeah, I believe it was leisure. So it was either,
leisure time or business time.
Yeah, and at the beginning she's just some sort of hippie chick, just like, ooh, nice rack, the whole nine. But she's just like, ooh, okay, yeah, like, yeah, come on, inside.
It's okay, everything's okay, and
then, all right, time for business. And she clicks her remote, and the sign in the back changes from leisure to business.
And she starts shooting at the characters coming in the door until they shoot her down. Shot her right in the neck.
She pulls up a shield. Oh, this shield was blessed by the Pope. Yeah, well, you weren't blessed by the Pope, so your death was coming.
A gun blessed by the Dalai Lama or something weird like that. It was just.
I got this from a monk I sell grenades to. You know what I mean? Like.
Now, the second movie. We're gonna move on from '88. Second movie.
That one was hard to follow.
So Zeph is not familiar with Troma, and I went ahead and we delved into that a little bit. Yeah, sort of.
Pop my cherry.
We started out watching a little bit of Killer Nerd, so I was trying to explain to him that the quality of Troma movies, while they're all fantastically bad, low-budget movies, and I say fantastically because I love most of them. We started out with Killer Nerd so I could explain to him that some of them were like just literally handheld VHS quality movies to the other movie which we watched in its entirety, Class of Nukem High. And I want you to tell me what you think of that movie.
Okay, so when it comes to Nukem High, definitely low-budget film. The actors kind of it's like they overplay their parts, which I kind of like about that. It's like they were in it to win it. It's like they all were reaching to get a Grammy or an Emmy or something along those lines.
And at best, it was an overacted, a very, very overacted stage play for high school.
Yeah, I mean, you have the Cretans. And they're all face painted, and what I kind of notice is in one scene, the guy who has the two nose rings, one scene he has his face painted, and it's like the next scene, which is like lunchroom, it's like in a completely different fashion, which is why I had a little bit of trouble telling his race for the beginning portion of this movie, because it's like brown and then white and then brown and like
he was heavily face painted, like nothing on his arms or anything until like later on in the movie where he's covered in soot.
No, but all in all, I enjoyed watching the movie. It has those little the scenes of just like boom, like that couldn't happen, or why is this happening? But you know why they're doing it. You have the nerd who drinks the water out of the water fountain. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure I would have went to the nurse immediately after drinking green water out of a water fountain.
Well, I mean, it didn't look like it really affected him to begin with. I mean, like, initially when he leaned into the water fountain, he's drinking clear water, and then the green goop, I don't know what the hell that was, kicked in, and I don't know if it fried his brain immediately, and he just went to class and just...
Yeah, just like, oh, dude, like, let me in here, bro.
And just melted down from there. His brain melted, and then that was Dewey. I think that was the character's name.
The character's name. But he didn't have a very good time at all.
Nope. He foaming at the mouth, green goo just coming out of his ears, out of his mouth, and then he went nuts and jumped out the window, right on the pavement.
Ruled as a suicide, mind you.
And that is literally the opening scene of the movie. It's just this guy melting down and throwing himself out of a window.
Now, mind you, I mean, for a melting down face for a low budget film, I didn't expect it to be. I guess kind of on par. I mean.
Like I said, most of their movies vary in quality. So they are probably one of the best companies out there for what you'd call practical effects. So like just stuff on hand. You're not talking special effects, big flashes, big bangs. There's a lot of really good practical effects, and they're fantastic at that. Just low budget stuff. I wanna say that like right after that anyway, we go right into the movie, and the entire movie just revolves around nuclear weed. So this weed that the Cretans get from the nuclear power plant that they decide they're going to start selling around school.
Yeah, the Cretans used to be honor students until they got into drugs. This was just because it was nuclear weed. This really...
I don't know. I don't think that they got into drugs. I think that... I don't know how they explained that the Cretans just went nuts. But they like just... One day that they were the honor society, and the next day... They went off the rails. I think it was like
they were the main supplier of nuclear weed, and that's why I think that they snapped. I mean, you had
it's possible.
Dude, you have the one dude who grew tits. You know, you have the mustache woman. Mustache
oh yeah, you got the woman with the Hitler mustache.
So those are all like mutations that came from them smoking the weed.
You got the dude with the massive septum ring that's half the size of a hula hoop.
That heals incredibly fast because those got torn out, and the next scene they're back in as if that never happened.
Probably just drilled new holes. Well, half my nose is gone now. We'll just drill a little further up.
Yeah, no big deal.
Don't feel anything. Then
these drugs are crazy.
You got the lead guy Spike, who didn't seem to have any deformities or any little weird things going on. It's just made up, bleached, half bleached hair.
I mean, just psychotic.
And then there's Muffy. So if you watch halfway through the movie, I'm not sure if you were not standing here or what was going on at the time, but you were not in the area when they had the whole scene where Muffy goes into the bathroom behind this guy who owes money to the Cretans for the atomic weed, and she just walks right up by him and unzips and starts peeing in the
stall or the
peeing in the there was peeing in the urinal right next to the guy. And freaked the guy out for a minute there, and then she starts kind of hitting on him a little bit and going back and forth between abusing him and hitting on him. And then Spike comes in and does his thing and says, what are you doing with my girl or whatever. And
yeah, but is that the scene where it was the nerdy dude, and they start beating the crap out of him, and she starts like stomping on his
eventually junk. They get to stomping on him, yeah. No, because he owes the money, basically.
Yeah, $10. Like, kick my ass over $10.
Now, I was actually saying that I didn't actually read the name of the actress that played Muffy to begin with, but it freaked me out just for a moment there, because I'm like, wait a minute. I remember having the huts for this girl when I watched the movie. I used to watch it frequently way back when I had the VHS copy, not the Blu-ray or DVD copy of it, and realized the girl's name is Theo. I don't know if that's short for anything, but that threw me for a minute there. Like, okay, I had to check. I mean, like, do I have huts for a girl, or I have huts for a guy? I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. She's a female actress, so okay, that cleared up a few things for me. The guy with the bull ring. His name's Gonzo. That was the dude with the bull ring and the weird. You couldn't tell whether or not he was black, white, or what.
Yeah. But Chris, let's be very clear. All right, there's no such thing as chicks with dicks. It's just dudes with tits. All right. So. Theodora.
There. I believe you're wrong there, but we'll.
Yeah.
We don't need to get into those.
That's just a line from Ted.
From Ted?
Yeah. But he looks at his porn stash. And he's just like, no, and they dump it in the river.
I think I might have forgotten that line, to be entirely honest with you.
He's like, can I use the computer real quick? He's like, yeah, sure. And then he's like, oh my god.
So I mean, I love Troma. A lot of the different films that they have, they definitely have varying bits of quality. So some of them are kind of painful to get through. The Killer Nerd and Bride of Killer Nerd were both two great movies, but they were definitely on the lower part of the acting scale. So these folks, while they were overacting a little bit, yes, no more so than most movies you would have seen in the Porky style back in the 80s, you know.
but
Revenge of the Nerds, stuff like that. It was just overacted on purpose.
Yeah, you have to be that ultimate teenager. You have to, like, you know, at the end of the day, they're in the class and they're rolling up papers and throwing them at the teachers. You know, like, that's like a teacher's nightmare. That's what they're going to view when they see that. Like, oh, yeah, that happens. You know,
well, a lot of stuff happens but most of the stuff that happens in this particular movie, that does not happen.
Oh, yeah.
No. You don't get mutant pregnancies from atomic weed, or you don't smoke atomic weed. You don't smoke nuclear weed. You're not supposed to anyway. And if you are, well, then I feel sorry for you, and you probably got cancer rather than, you know, mutant babies.
Yeah, but chemo's cancer. I mean, chemo's radiation, and, you know, throw some chemo and some weed. I think we just cured cancer right here.
Right. Well, yeah, the girl and the guy both got affected differently. She basically gave mouth birth to a mutant that terrorized the entire school at the end of the movie, and he, on the other hand,
mutated and got a giant penis for a minute, and then the penis...
He became the Hulk. I mean, he literally just hulked out on these guys, was just beating the crap out of them left and right.
When he found out that his girl, like...
I don't think he grew the giant penis, though. I think that was a dream sequence,
yeah, just more the hallucination.
That was not actual penis growth, just sort of a dream of something that was... quite a bit larger than he probably could have handled. I mean, all the blood would have gone from his body into that thing, and we're done. He's not smiling at that. He's dying at that point.
It's not a smile. It's him having a stroke. It's
yeah. So beyond watching that, I took in several movies. I'm not sure you did. I think you... No,
I took it a little easy. Like, you know, due to being sick, I slept a lot. And
I know I heard you got... You were pretty down and out most of this past weekend.
I was, like, borderline dead. Like, you know, it was like coma, like me, coma, death. Like, I was right under coma.
Right under coma, okay. Well, at least you weren't comatose.
I mean, sometimes I've always wanted, you know, but first of all, I'm not going to be eating a lot to lose some weight. You know, I'll get plenty of sleep that I missed, you know, being an insomniac and...
I've had a few illnesses that were like my best diets. It's like I'm done with the illness and I've dropped 10 pounds because I didn't eat a damn thing. I just drank water and... I'm like, why can't I just do that on a normal basis? Why do I have to be sick to stop all that and just intake fluids? No, but when I'm nice and healthy, I want to eat. And I want to eat a little bit too much, which is probably why I need to lose a little bit of weight. You know?
It's a lose-lose.
But I did watch... I watched several movies, and I don't know if you've seen any of these now. I did ask you about CB40, or CB4, sorry, not 40. Though I could have used a 40 to get through the second showing of that. One of Chris Rock's first lead roles. He plays the one of three suburban kids that decide that they want to kind of get into rap, and they ended up stealing this thug's persona. This guy played by Charlie Murphy. Gusto. And the three of them take this persona and they take it to the stage. Chris Rock becomes Gusto, and then there's like MC or Dead Mike, and then there was something like Grandmaster Arson or something to that nature. I think that was the guy that was spinning the records. And they kind of do this weird kind of half documentary style spoof on the NWA and kind of rap back in the 80s and 90s. Fantastic film. I mean, it was if you watch it, it's absolutely hilarious. They probably one of the better Chris Rock films that I've ever seen. He was in his prime comedy wise, just spot on all the way through.
It's definitely something I'm going to check out. I mean, most of the movies that Chris has seen here, I personally haven't seen. I'm still breaking my way into like the bad movie scene.
Okay, CB4 is not a bad movie.
Okay,
so that was not in that lump. That's just something that I watched. I usually watch a lot of really bad movies. Like I said, I love Troma, but CB4 not a bad movie. So that does not rank down there.
Okay.
with the bad movies that I love. It was just one of those comedies that you watch, and it was one of the better comedies to come out of that particular genre. I want to say that was back in the early 90s.
Yeah. No, the one movie I did get a chance to watch was Escape Room.
You know what? Go ahead and spoil that for me. I've got it, and you watched it. Go ahead and spoil it
for me. Bro. Like, you're spoiling C4 for me. You're telling me all
CB4.
CB4. You're telling me all the ins and outs of this. I mean, I'm not. There's not too much. I mean, you have to watch it to really get like. I can tell you the concept of the movie, but I'm not going to be able to, give you the.
Well, I've heard that was like Saw, but with escape rooms.
Yeah. So essentially, it's Saw with escape rooms. Yeah. This is just about it. No, but so they find these people who they're sole survivors of certain experiences.
Okay.
One of them, drunk driving accident. He was the sole survivor. Another one, plane crash, sole survivor. So a woman, she was in Iraq. IED. She was the sole survivor. So they found all these people, and they give them this cube. And
a cube.
Yes, it's just a black cube, but it's one of those puzzle boxes.
Okay.
And like
sounds like Hellraiser. Possibly.
No, so they figure out the cube, and once they figure it out, I mean, these aren't stupid people; these are intelligent people, and they figure out the cube, and a card pops up.
Okay.
It says, "Meet us here." Like, come to this if you want to. I mean, it's kind of like they knew these people.
Come to the escape room if you want to live.
Well, it was
want to die.
So one of them was like, "Come to the escape room if if you want to try something new." Because she wouldn't break out of her shell. Come to the escape room of this.
So they were basically luring them with the boxes. Okay.
So, and you had to figure out the box to finally be a part of it. I mean, they're not just going to let a dummy in. So they end up they end up meeting in like a lobby, and come to find out that's the first room.
Okay. So the lobby is literally the first room.
The waiting room is the first room.
That's
weird. They tapped on a window, and there's a secretary behind the glass, and she's like, "Oh, just please sit. They'll be with you in a few moments. You're up next." So it said a couple of different things, but then they realize they're in the escape room. Like they've already started. Only this is an oven. So if they don't figure, it's getting hotter and hotter as time is passing. So if they don't figure out the escape room before a certain time, the whole room, they would burn to death.
Okay. So, alright. So basically it's just sort of torment after torment, and I imagine, people die left and right in this movie. So these sole survivors are not sole survivors for long.
Yeah, I mean, initially the first one, they go through the first room. And they're like, no, like that's fine. Like this happens in all of them. And they're like, no, that was hot. There's one guy who like goes to escape rooms all the time. Like that's his thing.
Okay.
And he's like, no, like it's just part of like the gag, like we would never really actually get hurt. And they're like I could feel the pain, like it was hot, And they're like, no. The next room is an ice room, like it's below freezing and it's getting colder as time is going, And they just each room. It's essentially to kill them, and who's going to be the sole survivor out of all of them. And it kind of breaks it to like the Belko's experiment, like towards the end though.
Okay.
Because
so there's people observing them, watching them do this.
Yes,
obviously.
Because it's what do rich people do with their time? I don't know. I'm not rich, but apparently rich people like they've lived their whole life out. To the point where, like, they need to find new thrilling things.
I guess it depends on which movie you watch.
Yeah.
you either do that or you're like Ice-T, and I don't know if you've seen Surviving the Game.
No.
That was a great flick. I believe that was Nick Nolte, Ice-T, and basically what it was a bunch of rich guys. They were taking these homeless guys and bringing them out to the woods and offering them, like, an exorbitant amount of money if they escape.
Okay.
So they give them like a 3-minute head start to run off into the woods, and these guys go and hunt them down. Mm. And these guys are like expert hunters, so they figure these guys, no matter how good these guys are, we're going to go ahead and find them. And they make the mistake of basically taking Ice-T off the street and bringing him in to do this, and Turns out that Ice-T was like an ex-Navy SEAL or something that just ended up homeless. And he ends up taking them all out one by one. And that was honestly one of the better Ice-T movies I've ever seen anyway.
I mean, that's something I did. When you were telling me about that before, I definitely want to watch that. But what I meant by like the Belko's experiment, like people were watching, but when it comes to the ending of it, obviously there's a survivor.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say everything.
Yeah, don't tell me like who survived or anything.
But there's a survivor, and that individual is determined. Like no, like people need to know what happened here, And there's a trip that's planned, and the next scene, they're like, it seems like it's an escape room again.
Yeah. Only
it's not, and it's a simulation. And they're like, well, what's the percentage of like them surviving? They're like 4%. Like, well, we at least need to give them a chance. You know what I mean? But they're tracking that individual's flight plan. So there's going to be a continuation of it.
Oh, okay. So basically, they've already set it up for like Escape Room 2.
Yeah.
Like any good movie nowadays, they want to make sure, hey, if the movie flies, we want to make sure we leave ourselves open for a sequel.
Yeah, let's just completely rip off Saw because... I mean, it's so the complete opposite. With Saw, the people gave up. And with this, the people.
I think with a lot of the Saw movies, it wasn't even a give up situation. I think it was just literally a situation in most cases, anyway, that with the Saw movies, people were panicking and not going through the right sequence of events and getting themselves killed.
Well, what I mean is by giving up is like
throwing somebody else to the wolves for that.
They gave up on their life. They didn't live life the way that they should be. They didn't survive the way that they should.
Okay.
That's what I meant. And in this one, it's like they were the sole survivors.
All right. Well, with that, we've gone ahead and discussed most of what we've done for the week, and I think we should go ahead and end it here for tonight. Yeah. Thank you again for listening to the podcast, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening, day, or whenever the heck you happen to be watching or listening to this, I should say. Nobody's watching it.
I mean, if you're watching it, please leave. I might get a restraining order on you.
If you happen to be watching this podcast, please go ahead and leave us a message at anchor.com for the Cinematic Anarchy podcast. I want to know where you get your drugs. If you can see this podcast while you're listening to it, please tell me where you get that stuff.
But a pleasure, guys. I'm very glad that you guys are listening. I hope you guys come back for more. Me and Chris, and as well as Omar and anybody else that is willing to speak with us.
Yeah.
Here we are.
All right. Good night. Goodbye. Good luck.
See you later.
I never know how to end these things.
You never do.
No.